Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Motorcyclist MC Commute. You guys know the deal. Today we're going to be riding to the motorcyclist office in Southern California on Suzuki's 2020 Katana. So without further ado, let's throw the helmet on and go for a ride. Well, here it is, guys, Suzuki's 2020 Katana. This is a liter class size street bike from Suzuki. It pays homage to the original 1982 Suzuki Katana. This was an iconic motorcycle. Now, as the story goes, Suzuki commissioned Hans Muth, a German designer from Target Designs, to create a very modern and contemporary motorcycle for them. And that's what he did. Fast forward to today, and Suzuki reached out to Rodolfo Frascoli, an Italian designer, to do the remake. And look at that front fairing. Look how similar it looks to the original 82 Katana. I like that fly screen. I like how the LED headlight is integrated right into the fairing with those nice positioning lights, LED turn signals. Look at the upright handlebar. The original 82 Suzuki Katana had clip-ons. Upright handlebar affords a much more accommodating riding position. And look at that seat. Suzuki street bikes are always renowned for having very plush and comfortable seats, and that thing looks to continue that trend. But enough talking about it. Let's hop on it and see what it's like to ride. Alright guys, here we go. Might see that J hook tachometer. That's another nod to the original Suzuki Katana. It had that J hook style tachometer. This display is the same type of display Suzuki's been using on GSX-R 1000, monochrome LCD, but it's loaded with information. What do you guys think of it? How does it sound, guys? We've got it in TC. Let's turn TC off. We don't need TC. TC's off, guys. Alright, let's go. Alright guys, right away, hopping on this motorcycle, it's very apparent how comfortable it is. Seat is very deep and wide. Handlebar has a nice upright bend, not too forward, not too rearward, just right. Despite having an inline 4 engine, the seating position is very narrow. This does not feel like a wide motorcycle. Coming to a stop here, the seat height isn't too high, isn't too low. I can stand with both feet. I can sit with both feet planted on the asphalt. I'm 6 foot tall for reference. And very nice low speed manners out of this bike. The clutch mechanism was a little bit stiff, required a little bit of break-in. And away we go, guys. No quick shifter on this motorcycle. Shifting has to be made full manual style. 6-speed gearbox puts the power back to a chain final drive on the left-hand side, just like almost any other Japanese bike. This bike's powered by a 999cc inline 4 16-valve dual overhead cam liquid cooling. As we mentioned before, this is the engine that powered Suzuki's 2005 6, 7, 8 generation GSX-R 1000. It was the engine configuration before Suzuki went to the more over square design with the bigger bore, shorter stroke. So this motorcycle has a little bit more stroke and a little bit less bore compared to modern 2020 gen superbikes. So a little bit longer stroke means a little bit extra torque. And torque this engine has in spades. Puts out over 60 foot-pound torque from as low as 3,500 RPM. It peaks at around 76, 75 foot-pound of torque. So this power band is very well designed for street riding. A lot of passing power, a lot of power in any gear. Oh gosh, we're really speeding here. Sorry guys, this bike's just so quick, has so much torque. It's easy for the power to get away from us, and we don't have cruise control. Cruise control is not a feature, standard or optional on this motorcycle, so we'll have to make do. Pleasing engine sound out of this i4. Sounds nice. It's got a nice little growl to it. Let's get ahead of these guys here. Throttle response is very accurate. This bike, you have to remember, does not have ride-by-wire. This uses Suzuki's classic dual throttle valve technology, and I'm perfectly okay with that. These Suzuki bikes have been, just over the years, they've really just dialed in that throttle response and fuel injection system to perfection. And even though this thing doesn't have ride-by-wire throttle, you're not going to miss it, because the throttle response is so accurate and so natural feeling. It almost feels like a very well set up set of carburetors, which I like. So very nice throttle response. 43 millimeter KYB fork on this motorcycle. KYB shock, and the suspension does a really nice job of soaking up these little bumps here on this bumpy stretch of road. Of course, there's three-way adjustment, spring preload, compression, rebound, damping adjustment out of the fork. Shock is more limited, you just have spring preload and rebound damping. So suspension definitely does a pretty good job of soaking up the rough stuff. It's not the most comfortable street bike in terms of suspension, but it's also not the least. But that little bit of compromise in the comfort department gives you a little bit more sport handling. This motorcycle handles really nicely around curves. 474 pounds with a 3.2 gallon fuel tank filled to the brim, and 474 pounds is a sizable amount of weight for a leader class bike these days, but this motorcycle doesn't feel heavy. It's very agile in motion. It's a testament to Suzuki's chassis designer. They were able to make a motorcycle that feels this agile with this refined handling and power demeanor. Instrumentation is a little bit hard to see. The backlighting could be more bright. There's a lot of information there, but it's crunched down in a very small surface area. It'd be nice if Suzuki fit a larger dash display, a larger and brighter dash display. It doesn't necessarily have to be color, but it does need to
be bigger and brighter. Love how much torque this engine has. It makes it really easy to get off the line. Manual cable actuated clutch. When this motorcycle was brand new, the clutch was a little stiff, but now that we have a little bit of mileage on it, it's broken in very nicely. The clutch requires a reasonable amount of hand strength, but I'm not going to knock that, because at the same time it has real good feel. Suzuki always puts good clutches in its street bikes. Of course, this clutch has slipper functionality, so if you downshift in too high of gear for the speed travel, you can avoid any rear wheel instability. Little bit of engine vibration through the controls, but it's definitely not excessive. Lets you know you're riding a motorcycle. Mirrors have a reasonable view behind them, not too clouded from the small, low frequency vibration. Great, another turn, guys. I love turns, especially on the Suzuki Katana. This Katana is rolling on Dunlop's Sport Max Road Sport 2 tire. The Road Sport 2 tire is designed with extra silica in it, so it's going to perform a little bit better in wet and cold conditions. 120 70 17 front, 190 50 17 low profile rear. Generally I like 55 series, 60 series rear tires, but this 50 low pro tire really fits in with the aesthetic of this bike. And even with that lower rear tire, this bike still is pretty agile. I'm really impressed with how maneuverable it is. Cruising at 72 miles an hour in top gear. We're spinning right around 5,000 RPMs. Good amount of power. We twist the throttle and this thing gets moving quickly without having to downshift. Transmission feels a little tight. Again, this motorcycle doesn't have a lot of miles on the clock, only 192 miles. So with a little bit of more mileage, this bike will break in. Not gonna lie though, a bigger windscreen would be nice. This little fly screen looks good, but it doesn't do anything to protect you from the elements. Sorry guys, we're balked through this turn by these slow moving vehicles. We'll pass them all in a second here. Made quick work of them, guys. This Katana features traction control. It features three-way adjustable traction control, but this TC system is a little bit older in design. Instead of being IMU powered like most modern systems, it only uses wheel speed sensors, crankshaft position, gear shift position, and throttle position to calculate if slip is exceeding the predetermined threshold. So it's better than not having any traction control, but it's also nowhere near as accurate in applying correction as an IMU power system. But it's still neat that Suzuki fit some form of traction control on this bike. Oddly enough, this bike doesn't have any adjustable power mode or throttle mapping. Suzuki was an early innovator with the power modes. With, I think, the 2008 GSX-R 1000, their SDMS, they were an early innovator with the power modes. And I always thought that was a neat feature, so it's strange why this motorcycle wouldn't have any of that technology on it. Love the way this engine sounds. Definitely a fun and playful motorcycle. Fit and finish on this motorcycle is pretty nice. It's nice powder coating finish on the handlebar. It's Katana nameplate. There's some unsightly wiring here, but overall, fit and finish is pretty good. I like the big radial pump master cylinder. Powers the Brembo monoblock brakes. Good stopping power, good feel. Alright guys, the wheelie test. I think she's gonna wheelie pretty good. Oh. Yep, wheelie's pretty good. They love it. Yeah, they liked it. Wheelie's pretty good, guys. Back it in test. No backing it in, dude. We got ABS. Always on ABS. You cannot manually disable it. So there is no backing it in. There's also no stoppies. No nose wheelies on this motorcycle. The ABS system will not let you do it. If you disabled ABS somehow, this motorcycle would absolutely do nose wheelies. So Suzuki, please give us a button where we can manually disable the ABS. That would be awesome. Alright guys, we're almost here to the motorcyclist office. It's been a reasonably fun ride on the 2020 Katana. Kind of makes you remember the old days. Throwback, mechanically and visually. Alright guys, Suzuki's 2020 Katana, $13,500 for this motorcycle. Pretty neat looking, like the retro vibe, very comfortable to ride, good power. But $13,500 is some serious coin. Alright guys, let's do some Q&A. Alright guys, some Q&A. Let's go to the top here. My first bike was a Katana, pumped to see it return. Nice, man. That's cool that you had one of those things. Should I buy it as an investment so I own that bike nobody ever bought or saw 10 years ago? Asks Mountain THBX. I don't know if buying this motorcycle would be an investment. The used market for Japanese bikes doesn't really, they don't hold their value like they used to, not at all. So I would say no. 112 Jerry 987 asks, does it do a stoppie? This bike absolutely would do stoppies and nose wheelies, but it has ABS, so you have to disable that. So pull the fuse, do something, disable the ABS, and you can do nose wheelies to your heart's content. Probably actually do pretty good nose wheelies with the well-supported fork and good feel from the brakes. How is it riding for those of us who are over 6 foot? Asks RHYMUR1. Well, I'm 6 foot tall and it's pretty comfortable. I really like that seat. I like how the seat junction's narrow so I can put my feet down very easily at a stop. The cockpit's not too cramped. The handlebar is not too high, low, forward, back. The ergonomics in this motorcycle are very accommodating for all size riders, I'd go as far to say. Is this bike refined for commuting, or does it like to be ripped down a canyon or highway? This bike's very refined for commuting. You know, riding around town and going from point A to point B, as long as you're not riding a lot on the freeway, this motorcycle is very good at that. It's also really good at carving up the turns. Obviously, during these MC commutes, we can't really rip around corners like we would if we were riding on our own personal time. But I've ridden this bike around corners and it handles really well. Alright guys, let's do one more thing. Is it worth a dang against competitors like the CB1000R MT10? That's a really good question. This is a nice bike for sure, but so is the MT10, so is the CBR1000R. And at $13,500, this motorcycle is actually a little bit more expensive than those bikes. And those bikes, to me, have a much more modern feel than this bike. So if you're looking for a more modern experience, I would definitely go with those motorcycles. If you're really drawn into that nostalgic 82 Hans Muth Suzuki Katana aesthetic, well then obviously this is going to be your bike. Alright guys, well that's a wrap from this edition of MC Commute. Would I purchase this $13,500 Suzuki Katana? I would not purchase this motorcycle. Yes, it's comfortable. Yes, it is fun to ride. Yes, it's refined for a Suzuki, but still, this bike is 15 years old. I would spend my money on something that is more modern. But at the same time, if you're dying to get a taste of that nostalgic 82 Suzuki history and you want that retro 80s vibe, well, then this motorcycle might be for you, because there really isn't a lot of other motorcycles out there made today that have that authentic 80s retro vibe. And that's actually a really popular style right now in 2020. So if that's your style, get this bike. If you want something more modern, look somewhere else. All right, guys, thanks for watching today. We'll see you next time. Make sure to subscribe. Surf on over to motorcyclistonline.com. I wrote a first ride review on this motorcycle, motorcyclistonline.com. Please read the review there. We'll see you next time.